This M249 Gator Mesh has the lowest float out of every skin in CS2. I'm sure you've seen it already, but its float has 9 zeros followed by an 8 in it. It famously sold for a Cato 14 capsule, which was worth around $23,000 at the time, to someone known as a Pina, and its float has a 1 in 1 billion chance of dropping. And considering the fact that there are just over a billion skins, everyone thought that it could not be beaten. SkinSwap is a CS2 skin site where you can conveniently buy, trade, and sell your CS2 skins. Not only that, but they're giving you a free case to open when you start using the site where you could get up to $150. You can buy skins with only a couple clicks. Trading your skins is as easy as selecting the items that you're trading and selecting the item that you want. And even if you're a little short on your trade, you can top up your balance with a 40% deposit bonus, and you can also sell them your skins instantly and get paid out in a large variety of payment methods. Not only that, but they're always running weekly giveaways for up to $250, currently for a Bowie knife slaughter, so use code TechSavvy now to claim your free case, and check out the link to SkinSwap in the description if you want to buy, trade, or sell your CS2 skins. Yes, the king has been dethroned. The Gator Mesh is no longer the lowest float skin in the world. That title now goes to this AUG Zapems with a float of 9 zeros followed by 193. And there's quite an interesting story behind this AUG, and in today's video I'm going to explain everything there is to know about it, where it came from, how much it's worth, how likely it is that it's going to get beaten, and any other question that you might have about it. This skin, of course, came from the Armory. It's an Eye of Zapems from the Overpass 2024 collection, so someone redeemed 4 stars and got this skin dropped. But after the skin got dropped, radio silence for at least 10 days. No one knew about it yet. But on Monday, November 18th, 2024, my Discord started to blow up. I got so many pings because the skin was discovered by Yix on an alternative database, and he registered it on CS Float. So I got into a call with many famous people in the low float scene, and we started trying to contact the owner. The skin was opened by this guy called MNYRR. When Yix discovered the skin, his profile was public, and I managed to get some footage of it. The funny thing is, he only had 88 hours on CS2. At this point, we were pretty convinced that he is clueless about what he has. Eventually, the biggest #1 collector, Booty, managed to get in contact with him on VK, which is basically Russian Facebook, and thankfully he was able to let him know that the skin he has is something absolutely crazy and worth a lot of money. Our main concern was that he was gonna get scammed or sharked, but since he now knows that his skin is worth thousands and thousands and thousands, this is now very unlikely to happen. Eventually, he posted his trade link on his profile, so I sent him a trade offering him $10,000 in crypto. I wasn't really expecting him to take it, but by seeing that people are offering tens of thousands of dollars, it kind of gives him an idea of what the skin is worth. Guys, I think something crazy about to happen. I think he's about to accept the trade offer. I'm just talking to him. Oh my god, there it is. There it is. #1 float, AUG Zapems. Here it is in my inventory. Nope, guys, of course not. Okay, I'm trolling. Of course, I did not buy it. Would have been cool, but no. Sorry guys, I had to troll there for a second. I did send him the trade offer with the $10,000 offer, but he never added me back. I'm sure a lot of you guys are asking the same thing right now. How much is this thing worth? Well, the simple answer is you can't really put a value on a skin like this. Extremely rare skins such as this lowest float AUG are worth as much as people are willing to pay for it, so really we're not gonna know what its true value is until it sells. We do have a rough idea though, because the previous #1 skin, the Gator Mesh, sold in a trade for a Cato 14 capsule worth about $23,000 at the time, so you could say that it's worth $23,000, but you could also make the argument that because it's objectively a better skin, in the sense of that it's a rifle and not an M249, it's worth a lot more. So I have heard people fling around the $30,000 point as its price, but you have to take this value with a massive grain of salt. You do have to consider the fact that just because one person paid $23,000 for a similar skin does not mean that other people will too. As far as I'm aware, the highest current offer for this this AUG is $14,000, although I wasn't able to confirm this firsthand. But again, we'll only know the true value once it actually sells, but I would be pretty surprised if it was over 20,000. Before we dive any deeper, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm buying skins for PayPal. So if you've been thinking about cashing out your skins, this is your opportunity. I buy pretty much anything and everything, including the new armory skins. I even wrote a guide on how to safely sell your skins so that it's as easy as possible for you. So direct message me on Discord and I'll get you cashed out for PayPal as soon as possible. One of the most important questions when buying a number 1 skin is how likely is it to be beaten? As you venture into low float skins, you'll quickly learn that number 1 skins are worth significantly more than number 2s, even if their floats are really close. But this also means that as soon as they get beaten and turned into a number 2, they will immediately lose a large portion of their value. So can this AUG be beaten? Well, the short answer is yes, but it's a lot more nuanced than that. You might think that when a skin is generated, a random number is generated as its float. However, this is not quite the case. In reality, there are a finite number of predetermined float values that are possible for each skin. The reason for this is pretty simple. This is the only way that the float value can be stored, using a finite number of bits, and this actually means that there is one predetermined float value that is the lowest float possible for that skin. And it turns out that for the AUG Zapems, this is that float. You cannot unbox or trade up to an AUG Zapems that has a lower float than this. You can match it, but this AUG will forever remain with a golden border on the CS float database. But this is not just the number 1 AUG Zapem, this is the number 1 lowest float skin in the game. And while it can't be beaten as the number 1 float AUG Zapems, it can actually be beaten as the number 1 lowest float skin in the world. Each skin has a predetermined lowest possible float value, but it's not the same for every single skin. It depends on something known as the float cap, which basically determines what range of floats is possible on what skins. And it turns out that the lower the float cap, the lower the lowest possible float on that skin. The AUG Zapems has a float cap of 0 to 0.85, which is actually pretty bad. The skin with the best float cap is actually the Scout Acid Fade with the float cap of 0 to 0.03. While the lowest possible float Scout Acid Fade does not exist, we know what that number is, and it's actually way lower than this AUG. It's more than 10 times lower at a float of 0.10139. No acid fade even comes close to this float, though. The lowest float acid fade is currently 7 zeros and a 3, but it is from the Safe House collection, which is in the active drop pool, meaning that people are actively getting Scout Acid Fades when playing the game. I'm giving away this AUG Zapems in field tested, and all you have to do to win it is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you learned from this video, so what you didn't already know. And also don't forget to add your trade link to your YouTube bio so that I can send you the skin if you win it. Best of luck. I'm gonna be rolling the giveaway as soon as this video hits 300 likes in the first week. So can it be beaten? Well, yes, but it's not very likely. But what were even the odds for this skin to be dropped? Well, there's two answers actually. One's the simple answer and the other one's the complicated answer. The simple answer is the statistical answer. There are 1.3 billion skins registered on the CS Float database. This is the lowest float skin of them all, so it's 1 in 1.3 billion. But the real answer is actually a lot more complicated, so let's do the math on it. The AUG Eye of Zapems is from one of the 3 new map collections from the Armory, and these collections range from industrial grade to covert, and to calculate the odds of getting a purple, all you need to know is that each tier is 5 times as rare as the tier below it. So let's calculate the odds. For every covert that you will get 5 classifieds. For 5 classifieds, you will get 25 restricteds. For 25 restricteds, you're gonna get 125 mil-specs, and for 125 mil-specs, you're gonna get 625 industrials. Adding up all those numbers, you get 728, Let's say we're aiming for a purple or better, so we add up the coverts, the classifieds, and the restricteds. 1 plus 5 plus 25 is 31. 31 divided by 781 is around 3.97%, which is equivalent to odds of 1 in 25.2. Now the hard part, which is calculating the odds of getting this float, this is where I'm not 100% certain if I'm gonna do it right, but assuming that the float is stored as a 32-bit integer, there are 2.14 billion possible float values, and assuming that all of those are equally likely, your odds of getting the lowest float possible is 1 in 2.14 billion. We combine those odds by multiplying them together, so 25.19 times 2.14 billion is 54.1 billion. So the odds of getting a purple or better operation skin from one of the armory collections with the lowest float possible for that skin is 1 in 54.1 billion. I did the math, it's a bit too complicated for me to break down in this video, but the odds of this skin being dropped in 1.3 billion skins, the number of skins that are registered on the CS Float database, is only 2.4%, so we got insanely lucky that this skin exists in the first place. I know I just yapped a lot, but the conclusion is that it's not very likely that this skin will ever be beaten because it's rare as fuck.